Carmen DeVito, garden designer here in New York City, and today I'm going to talk about edible flowers, and we're going to make an edible container. Let's start with flowers that are available right now. Here's violas and nasturtiums. These are cool season plants that you can plant now in this zone. Violas, the flowers are the edible part, and you can put them in salads, or you can candy them with sugar and egg white. Nasturtiums aren't in bloom yet. This is what the flowers look like. And they have a kind of peppery taste. You can also throw them in salads or stir fry them. I'm going to show you some more edible flowers as well. Here we have lavender. They're not in bloom yet because it's still early. Another edible flower is chives. People know that you can eat the leaves of chive, but also the flowers are delicious and very good in salads. Here we have borage. The flowers are edible, and also the stems and leaves are delicious in a salad. Chamomile is probably one of the most famous edible flowers. You can make tea out of it. It's super easy to grow. And lastly, zucchini flowers. Zucchini blossoms or squash blossoms are great as edible flowers, and those are late season flowers. Now we're going to make our edible container. This container is about 20 to 22 inches wide. It's really big, and I'm going to put a lot of plants in it. The first thing I did was drill a lot of holes in the bottom for drainage. That's really important. And I've cut a piece of landscape fabric, which you can buy at any home store, the same size of the bottom. I'm going to put that on the bottom. And then I'm going to put some drainage material. This is just broken clay pots that I have, and I'm going to put them on the bottom. Then I'm going to put another piece of landscape fabric, and then I'm going to start to fill it with some soil. This is compost, and I'm going to mix with lightweight potting soil so they have a nice rich mix. Vegetables and flowers need a good rich soil. This soil is a lightweight soil, and I'm going to mix it in there. So this is going to be an edible container. I'm going to put a tomato, but I'm going to pretend plant because it's too cold to put the tomato. So the tomato is going to be here. I'm going to put some lovely bright lights chard, which I can cut and pick. Nasturtium, so I can pick the flowers and leaves. This is oxalis. This is strictly decorative, not edible. And then pansies here. You can see there's a lot of room around the plants because all of these are going to grow an enormous amount. Okay, now we're ready to plant. So I'm going to put this fertilizer, this granular fertilizer that has a balance of phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen. I'm going to put a really good amount because vegetables need a lot of fertilizer. I'm kind of scratching it in. I'm going to put all of this in here. Really get it in there to try to get it into the root zone, like this. Now I'm going to place my plants. So I'm going to pretend plant the tomato. Now when you plant a tomato, you can bury it deeper than the way that it's growing. That's kind of the opposite of what I've said about all other plants, but it's better if you plant it a little bit deeper. They develop more root systems and it works better. So we're going to pretend plant this tomato. I always start from the back of the planter and work my way forward. I'm going to put this lovely oxalis. Just tickle the roots a little to loosen them up and gently set it in there. Then my chards. These have beautiful, colorful stems that are completely delicious. And I'm going to plant these guys right in here. Everything's going to get so much bigger than they are now. Spacing them out here. Then my nasturtium, which is actually in the watercress family. Fun fact. I'm going to plant it kind of on the edge because I want it to spill and I want it to grow along the edge like that and not towards the middle of the pot. And then finally, my beautiful pansies, or violas I should say. These are actually violas. Pansies have bigger flowers and a slightly different kind of petal arrangement. These are really root bound, see that? So I have to, it seems aggressive, but I really have to loosen that up. And then I try to squeeze out the plant and get it out. But you can see, look at that root mass. So I have to really loosen that up. Otherwise it's just gonna grow round and round and not set roots down. So I'm loosening it up. Same thing with this guy. As you can see, it was in the pot a little bit too long. So I'm gonna set them in here at the same level. I'm leaving about an inch and a half below the top of the pot so that when you water, you don't make a mess. I've made that mistake before. I like to add the fertilizer all at once so I don't have to sit there and fertilize each and every little plant. And then I give it a good shake to level it, and we're good to go. Thanks for watching my video. You can follow me on Instagram at Goody DeVito. Now I'm going to show you one of my favorite fragrant plants. It's called Gaultheria, and it is the source of wintergreen flavor. Its common name is wintergreen, and it's really delicious and smelly and survives through the winter. The next episode is going to be on easy to grow fragrant plants, so remember to tune in. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Laurell Sims, and I'm the co-founder and co-director of Urban Growers Collective. We're a nonprofit organization located in Chicago, and our mission is to really get as many people growing food as possible. Because our spaces are really small, we have to grow as much food as we possibly can, but we also want those spaces to be beautiful. And the one thing that really inspires folks to get out and to see what's going on are flowers. So for us, there are about 3 different categories of edible flowers that we're growing. Some are just traditional flowers that you may have in your yard right now. So roses, lilacs are a really great spring flower. Marigolds, one of my favorite, is a variety called Little Jim. So they're tiny marigolds, but they dress up a salad and make your plate look so much more beautiful. So the second variety of edible flowers that I really like to grow are herbs. So herbs are multifunctional. They add lots of flavor to your meals, but most of them also flower, and those flowers should definitely be used in any kind of culinary process that you're creating. So as you can see, we're in the Urban Growers Collective greenhouse, and it's raining pretty hard outside, so we're having a couple drips. So you may notice some of the drips in the video. We also have a parrot who lives in the greenhouse. His name is Thunderbird, and he's very talkative. So if you hear some squeaking, that's Thunderbird. But in the greenhouse, we are growing a variety of herbs. And so one of the varieties we're growing is basil. This is this beautiful variegated basil. It's purple and green. There's Thai basil, lemon basil, the traditional Genovese, which is the Italian basil. We love to grow tons of varieties of basils, and each of them flower. And to keep these plants really healthy, you want to make sure you're plucking those flowers off. It helps keep the bushes healthy. It makes them bush out a little bit bigger. But you should definitely not discard those flowers once you're growing them in the summer, because you can create lots of different things with them. So you can put them in spring rolls. One of the great ways I like to do it is I create a basil lemonade. So I just take those flowers, infuse them in some simple syrup, make lemonade, and it's the most refreshing thing you're gonna have over the summer. Another thing that we really like to grow is mint. And so what we do is we'll take mint and lemongrass and we'll dry them, but then we'll also put our edible flowers within them. So you can see here, our teams made this beautiful tea blend by just drying some herbs and creating edible flowers that they put in here. So this is a combination of calendula, which is an edible flower, marigolds, and a little bit of lavender. So you can take those herbs and edible flowers that you're growing in your yard and create a lot of different products out of them. So the last herb I'm going to talk about is chives. It's going to be abundant in the next couple weeks. They grow like crazy, super easy to grow, and they're such a great, delightful thing to have in your garden. So you can use the leaves like you've traditionally always done, but what I really like to do is harvest the flowers. So it's this adorable purple little puffball that you can break apart and put in salads, so it's going to give your salads a nice oniony taste. But the way I really like to use them is to create a vinegar. So you take about 10 to 20 of those flowers, put them in a jam jar with some champagne vinegar. I put it in the cabinet for about 10 days. So you want to just kind of have a dark space so you can kind of forget about them. Maybe set an alarm on your phone to remind yourself to check in 10 days. After that, what you're going to do is strain off those flowers. So you want to keep that liquid, and you're going to discard those flowers into your compost. Keep that beautiful vinegar that's going to turn this hot pink. It's gorgeous. And you can just keep that in a closed jar in your refrigerator and use it to create vinaigrettes. So I just use a simple olive oil, salt, pepper, a little bit of honey, and my chive blossom vinegar. It creates the best salad dressing you're gonna ever have. And it's just so easy to do with the abundance that spring gives us with chives. The last category of edible flowers I want to talk about are from vegetables. At our farm, we grow an abundance of vegetables, and many of the flowers that come off of them are edible. Two in the spring that I can think of off the top of my head are apple blossoms and peas. So peas in particular have these beautiful flowers that are pink and white. And you can use them just to decorate your plate, to garnish. You can put them in salads, but it's just a hint of color and a little bit of just spring flavor that you can bring in to your plate. Another great variety that we like to grow that's a little bit later in the summer are squash or pumpkin blossoms. So we're growing a couple pumpkin plants that you can see here in our greenhouse. And in the summer, what we'll do is we'll harvest those orange blossoms. My personal favorite way to prepare them is to stuff them with cheese and to fry them. It's maybe not an everyday dinner option, but it's definitely a treat. Another great thing you can do is on Sundays, I like to do a little bit fancier breakfast. So I'll either make an egg tart or I'll make a frittata. And what you can do is just lay them gently on the top, and it creates a beautiful pattern. It adds a lot of squash flavor, but in a mild way that I think, especially if you have kids, is a great way to introduce them to squash. And it just looks so beautiful. So it's a just wonderful way to dress up any meal that you create at your house. Thanks so much for following along today. At our farms, we talk a lot about growing crops that are nourishing. And I think the thing about nourishment is that it comes in a lot of different ways. So yes, you want to have healthy food that's abundant and beautiful on your plate. But I also think when you add edible flowers, it's an easy way just to make your day a little bit brighter. And so just that little extra effort will make you feel so much more special. It'll definitely make your day a lot brighter. And I hope you take that time for yourself to just bring a little sunshine to your food. If you'd like to follow us, we can be found online at Urban Growers Collective, and we hope you stay healthy and safe.